All right, welcome to the Literary Reference Center tutorial. I'm just going to show you a couple new things that LiLI has that English teachers and teachers of all areas might be interested in using. We're going to go into LiLI. I'm at lili.org right now. And if you click on either grades 5 through 8 or 9 through 12, it will be there. It doesn't matter which one you click on. So here we have all of the grades 9 through 12 resources. Melissa last week talked about the History Reference Center that was also new this year. And the one that we're going to go to today is the Literary Reference Center. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Okay. And this is what it brings you up to. The nice thing about this is that it has some highlights that you see first thing. This book highlight has several of the critical insights books that are highlighted. There are more of those critical insights. I really like these. They're just a compilation of essays that look at either a work, usually a classic piece of work, or authors. So we'll look a little bit more later at some of those critical insights books. But also from this homepage, you can see that it features an author, featured work, and then a content spotlight also. I'm going to draw your attention up to the top. All of the tabs up on the top are actually really helpful, so we're going to kind of spend some time looking at those a little bit more in depth. The publications is a link that you can actually look at all of the different resources that you're pulling from. So all of the different journals and scholarly journals, magazines, books, encyclopedias, everything is in there. If you specifically know what you're looking for, like I said, we were going to look at critical insights. I'll just show you everything that the Literary Reference Center does have for critical insights. Like I said, it has the titles right here, critical insights, all of these, All Quiet on the Western Front. Here's The People, Charles Dickens. There's, I think, about 3 pages of those critical insights reference books. So you might want to take a look at those. I think they would be great for using if you want to have your students read a critical or a critique on a specific book. It would be a great one to use for your informational text. So there's that, and you can also, if you know of any other publications, I know one of my friends uses Harvard Review, if I type that correctly. You'll see that it does have Harvard Review in this one, in the HTML full text. They do have mostly full text, either the HTML or the PDF. There are some that just will have citations, so you just need to be careful when you're searching for that. Then going all the way across here, browse authors up at the tabs on the top. There's also just the most studied authors, but I want to specifically show you this more. Don't forget to look at that because it has some really great resources that you can use here. This actually has a glossary, so if you can think of any literary terms, this would be really handy if you had your students reading in something and they come across a word that they don't know. They can look in the glossary to see what that means. They also have an encyclopedia, a dictionary that you can actually search for particular words. So you could use that as they're using this database. And you can even look for images. This kind of reminds me of the images tool in Google. So if I look for Harry Potter, it'll bring up images for different kinds of Harry Potter things. Okay, so that's a really nice tool that's in this database. So when I click back on the L, that'll take me back to my home site. I want to just show you some of the things that you can do once you find some information that you want to use. So I know my English teachers here at Century are reading Lord of the Flies right now. So we'll do a search for that. If you're familiar with EBSCO, you'll notice that it is published by EBSCO, and so this format should look really familiar. It does have the different ways that you can narrow your search, so I can use the publication date to scroll over. I only want things that are new. If I click and drag that, then it will update my result list so that it only has current things. I can narrow my result by the type of reference that it's coming from, so magazines, reference books, reviews, all of those. So that will just help narrow your search. Let's go ahead and look at the first one that we can see has this one. If you look, the top one, it's the Lord of the Flies. And the nice thing about EBSCO is that you can tell what kind of source it is by this little icon right here. So we have a book. This is coming from a book, and it is a work analysis. This one is a review, and it's actually a book review. This one comes from an academic journal. That's probably one that I'll want to use to have my students look at. So we're going to click on this one. You can tell a lot about the article just by looking at this summary right here. It has the title, the author. I always tell students and teachers to look at how many pages it's going to be. And then the part in parentheses is showing what kind of text it is. So we're going to click on that. And again, if you're familiar with EBSCO, you'll notice over on the right-hand side, it has all of the different ways that you can use this article if you choose to use it later. You can print it right from there, email it to yourself, save it. This gives you a great citation that you can choose the MLA format or whatever format that you need. So that has some great tools. The one thing I would suggest you do, this add to folder, I'm trying to tell students, especially in EBSCO that a lot of teachers use, is to create their own accounts. And once you do that, then you can start adding articles to your folders. It is free, it goes with them forever. So even if they graduate from high school, they can keep their account clear on into college. So all you have to do is click on this sign in button right here. And it just has you create a username and password that's free, and there's no obligation for anything. And then they can start making folders and get their materials that they're using organized. So that's a really great tool that EBSCO provides. So again, PDF, full text, HTML, this one is just in PDF, so it will look just like it's a scanned image out of the journal that I'm looking at. So from here you can download it, you can print it, all of the options over here. So you can do a lot of things with that article. And then to get back to the result list, I can just easily click that button, and it'll take me back to the list. That was really nice. They do have full text of classics in here. So if I go to my browse most studied works, you can see in that results list that there are full text classics. So I think that that would be really helpful, especially if an English class is using something that you actually can, instead of ordering something or interlibrary loaning it, then you can actually click on it and use that. So if I click on Adventures of Tom Sawyer, I can either click on this, which will give me information about the book, or I can click directly on that full text classic tab, and it will bring up the PDF full text. And within a few seconds, you have access to the whole book. That concludes our lunch with librarians, lunch and learning with librarians, and specifically the Literary Reference Center. Thanks for coming.